Imagine, if you will, a solitary figure. It's the dead of night, and he's wrestling with some kind of mysterious adversary right there by a rushing river.
Yeah, it's a really powerful image, isn't it? Captures that ancient mystery, that sense of, well, struggle.
Exactly. And that image is our jumping off point today for the deep dive. We're plunging into Sir James George Fraser's massive work, Folklore in the Old Testament.
And specifically, we're looking at part 2, chapter 9, which is all about that scene, Jacob at the ford of the Jabbok.
Right. But we're also going to take a quick detour first into chapter 7, Jacob and the mandrakes. It kind of sets the stage, I think.
It absolutely does. Our goal here is really to unpack the layers of folklore and ancient beliefs that Fraser found woven into these biblical stories.
It's amazing how these, familiar narratives connect to this whole global tapestry of trying to understand the world.
Precisely. We're looking beyond just the surface story to see these universal human patterns.
Okay, so let's start with that detour. Chapter 7, mandrakes. What was the deal with them? It sounds pretty intense. Like this plant was seen as almost human.
Oh, very much so. The superstition around the mandrake was huge. People believed it was incredibly dangerous to pull it out of the ground yourself.
Dangerous how? Like poisonous.
Worse, potentially fatal. The belief was that the plant would scream or somehow strike you dead if you uprooted it directly.
Wow. So how did they get it then?
Well, the workaround was ingenious in a dark sort of way. They'd harness an animal to it, usually a dog, sometimes an ass.
An animal. Why?
The idea was the animal would pull the plant up, receive that fatal shock, and die in the process.
So the animal takes the hit.
Exactly. It acts as a substitute, making the mandrake root safe for the human to then collect.
Okay, that's intense. And Fraser connects this to other plants too, right? Like bryony in Armenia.
Yes, Bryony alba. It's a fascinating parallel. In Armenian folklore, Bryony isn't just a plant. It's considered the king of plants.
King of plants. So similar idea. Animated, maybe?
Very much so. Seen as manlike, even. Its roots and berries were used to make wishing rods. Magic wands, basically.
For what? What could these wands do?
They were believed to grant wisdom, power, heal sickness, even drive off evil spirits. Pretty powerful stuff.
And getting it was just as tricky, I bet.
You guessed it, there was a whole ritual. You could only gather it in May. You had to say specific prayers.
And the animal substitute?
Yep. You had to tether a kid or a rooster to the plant first. The belief was the bryony would vent its anger on the animal when it was uprooted, sparing the person.
So again, this idea of the plant having feelings like resentment.
Exactly. It really underlines this personification of nature, this sense that powerful natural things had agency and didn't like being disturbed. You had to appease them or, trick them.
And this whole mindset, Fraser argues, helps us understand Jacob's story better.
That's the connection he makes. This deep-seated belief in powerful, sometimes dangerous nature spirits is crucial for interpreting what happens at the Jabbok.
Okay, let's pivot then to chapter 9, Jacob's journey. Set the scene for us. He's coming down from the mountains.
Yeah, he's left Laban, he's got his family, his flocks, everything. He's descending from the highlands of Gilead down into this really deep, wild river valley, the Jabbok.
Thousands of feet down, right, into a totally different climate.
Exactly, from cool pine forests to this almost hothouse atmosphere in the gorge. It's described as incredibly picturesque, but also rugged. Steep cliffs.
And the river itself?
The Jabbok, the Blue River, flows really strongly at the bottom, often hidden by this thick jungle of oleanders. You can imagine it feeling quite remote, maybe even a bit eerie.
So Jacob gets his whole caravan across the ford, but then what?
Then he sends them all ahead, his wives, kids, servants, animals, everyone crosses the river. But Jacob stays behind, alone.
Why would he do that? It seems risky.
Well, the Bible just says he was left alone. And then it says a man wrestled with him all night long, right there by the river.
All night, until dawn.
Until the first light of dawn starts hitting the tops of the ravine. An incredibly intense, solitary struggle in the dark.
And then comes that famous exchange. The stranger wants to leave.
Yeah, he says, "Let me go, for the day breaketh." But Jacob refuses. He holds on.
And says that line, "I will not let thee go, except thou bless me." Powerful stuff.
It really is. He's demanding something from this mysterious opponent.
And he gets it, doesn't he? The blessing and a new name.
He does. The stranger asks his name, then says, "Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For thou hast striven with God and with men, and hast prevailed."
Israel, meaning he who strives with God.
Or prevails with God. It marks this pivotal moment of transformation through struggle.
And the encounter leaves its mark, literally.
Absolutely. Jacob names the place Peniel, the face of God, because he says he saw God face to face and lived. But as the sun rises, he's limping.
Because the opponent touched his thigh.
Yes, touched the hollow of his thigh, injuring the sinew there. And the text explicitly links this to a lasting custom.
The dietary law about not eating that specific sinew.
Exactly. Therefore, the children of Israel eat not the sinew of the hip, which is upon the hollow of the thigh, unto this day. The story provides the origin for the rule.
Now, this is where Frazer steps in with his folkloric lens. He suggests the story as we have it might be edited or toned down.
Yeah, he speculates that the original story might have had elements that later compilers found a bit too pagan, too close to polytheism maybe, so it might have slurred over some details.
Meaning his interpretation has to be a bit conjectural.
For sure. He's piecing things together based on patterns he sees elsewhere. But his main idea is pretty compelling.
Which is, who or what does he think Jacob wrestled?
Frazer hypothesizes that Jacob's opponent wasn't just some random man or even directly God in human form initially, but the spirit of the river Jabbok itself, a jinni.
The river spirit? Why would he think that?
Well, think about Jacob's actions. Standing everyone ahead, waiting alone by the ford. Frazer sees this as a deliberate strategy.
A strategy for what?
To ambush the river spirit. The idea is the noise of the caravan would scare the shy jinni away, but once it was quiet, curiosity might draw the spirit out to check the ford.
And Jacob could grab him to force a blessing.
Exactly. To compel the local deity, the guardian of the ford, to grant him safe passage and good fortune.
And this connects to other myths, right? You mentioned parallels.
Oh, definitely. Frazer points straight to Greek mythology. Think about Menelaus wrestling the shape-shifting sea god Proteus on the beach.
Or Peleus grappling with the sea goddess Thetis, who also changed forms constantly.
Precisely. Or even Hercules battling the river god Achelous, who turned into a snake and then a bull to try and escape. These water spirits are often slippery characters.
So the idea is Jacob's opponent might have originally been a shapeshifter too.
It's highly possible, following that pattern. Frazer even wonders if the story of Elijah on Horeb, the wind, earthquake, fire before the still small voice, might be a faint echo of a deity revealing itself through different forms or disguises.
And it wasn't just water spirits people tried to compel.
No, Frazer mentions others, like the nature god Silenus, caught by King Midas, who forced him to reveal wisdom, or Picus and Faunus caught by Numa. There's this recurring theme of humans trying to wrestle secrets or blessings out of reluctant supernatural beings.
Okay, so this idea of powerful river spirits, how common was that? Was this a widespread belief?
Incredibly common. Frazer gives tons of examples. It seems almost universal to treat rivers, especially at crossing points, with a certain respect or fear.
Like where? Give us a quick tour.
All right, well, ancient Greece. Hesiod advised praying and washing your hands before fording a river. Spartans and Persians sacrificed animals, bulls, white horses to rivers like the Arasinus or the Strymon. Lucullus sacrificed a bull to the Euphrates.
Okay, ancient world. What about elsewhere?
Jump to the Americas. Ancient Peruvians would pray, scoop up river water to drink, throw maize in as an offering. Modern Andean people still do a sort of ceremonial sip.
Europe?
Old Welsh folklore warns about evil spirits near water. After dark, you had to spit 3 times before crossing. In Africa, wow, tons of examples. Zulus sacrificing oxen when rivers flooded. Many Bantu people saw rivers as homes for spirits, often ancestors. They'd throw stones, praise the river.
So honoring the river.
Yes, or sometimes trying to appease its anger. Dingan Zulu army saluted a river, drank special water to ward off evil. Kafirs would spit on stones. Some tribes saw malignant spirits in rivers, like the Heelys. There were customs like not saving drowning people because the river spirit had called them.
That's grim.
It is. Others would sacrifice animals by driving them into the water, or even throw stones and shout insults at the spirits. In East Africa, the Maasai threw grass, Baganda threw coffee berries. Bunyoro sacrificed kids at waterfalls.
It just goes on and on.
Good.
India, other places.
India, yes. The Badagas revered Gangama in every stream, tossing coins in for cattle safety. The Todas treated certain rivers as actual gods with complex crossing rituals. Some chiefs, like the Mahafali or Sakalava in Madagascar, were forbidden to cross certain rivers entirely.
Like a taboo.
Exactly. The king of Kayor in West Africa believed he'd die if he crossed a river. And some cultures, like the Torajas in Indonesia, even tried to trick the spirits, shouting, "I'm not crossing today," before sneaking across.
Okay, so mostly respect, offerings, sometimes trickery. But did anyone ever, fight back, try to actually harm or command the water?
Oh, yes, that happened too. It wasn't always about appeasement. Sometimes it was outright confrontation.
Like what?
Well, the Kakain in Burma, after someone drowned, they take a sword and slash at a vessel full of water, symbolizing killing the spirit responsible.
Wow. Symbolic revenge.
Kind of. Or the Santals in Bengal shooting arrows, or slashing the water surface before drawing water from a tank, maybe trying to weaken the spirit first.
Any rulers trying to command the water?
There's the story of the king of Siam sending Buddhist monks to exorcise the Mainam River, commanded to go down, and the Egyptian king Pharaoh, who got angry at the Nile flood, threw a spear into it.
What happened?
He was struck blind for his impiety. Then there's Cyrus the Great.
The Persian emperor, what did he do?
He got furious when one of his sacred white horses drowned crossing the river Ganges. So he spent a whole summer diverting the river into hundreds of channels to punish it, basically destroying its power. Frazer calls it a childish whim of a superstitious despot.
That reminds me of Xerxes and the Hellespont.
Exactly. Xerxes lashing the water with whips, throwing chains into it, calling it a treacherous and briny river after a storm wrecked his bridge.
It's like they genuinely thought they could punish the water itself.
That seems to be the thinking. Ancient stelts reportedly waded into the sea, hacking at the waves with swords. An Irish legend has a hero forbidding the sea with his axe. The Tarajas threw weapons into the rising tide. The Arafus in New Guinea would fire guns at the waves to avenge drowned friends.
Seeing these examples really puts Jacob's wrestling match in a different light, doesn't it? It fits this pattern of confronting a personified natural force.
It absolutely does. It makes the weird story, as Frazer puts it, seem less weird and more like a specific instance of a very widespread human way of relating to powerful, dangerous water.
Okay, let's circle back to Jacob's limp and that specific dietary rule about the sinew. The story explains it, but Frazer sees something deeper.
He does. He looks at it through the lens of magical thinking, specifically sympathetic magic.
Sympathetic magic, like effects like.
Exactly that principle. He brings up a parallel from North American indigenous groups, the Cherokee in particular.
What did they do?
They had a practice of always cutting out and discarding the hamstrings of deer they killed. They wouldn't eat them.
Why not?
They gave two main reasons. One, if you ate that severed tendon, your own leg muscles would cramp up or shorten, just like the tendon was cut.
Ah, like effects like.
Precisely. And the second reason, eating the hamstring would make the hunter easily tired when traveling later. Again, damaging that part in the deer affects the corresponding ability in the hunter.
So Frazer suggests the Hebrew rule might stem from a similar ancient belief.
That's his argument, that the rule about not eating the hip sinew likely started as a taboo based on sympathetic magic fear that eating it would cause lameness or weakness in your own hip. And the story in Genesis came later, providing a more elevated religious explanation or sanction for this pre-existing folk custom.
Fascinating. Okay, one last parallel Frazer brings in, which sounds surprisingly similar, from ancient Mexico.
Yeah, this one is really striking. It involves the great Aztec god Tezcatlipoca.
What was the story?
Well, Tezcatlipoca was said to wander the roads at night, often appearing as this huge, terrifying phantom carrying his own head in his hand.
Okay, creepy.
Definitely. Most people who saw him would faint or die of fright, but a really brave person could confront him.
Confront the god. How?
And by grabbing hold of the phantom and wrestling with him, refusing to let go until sunrise, just like Jacob.
No way, seriously.
Seriously. And if the person held on until dawn, the god's tone would change. He'd plead to be released and offer rewards, riches, strength in battle, power. He might even give the person symbolic tokens, like thorns or rags, as proof of their victory.
Wow. The parallels are undeniable. Wrestling a supernatural being at night, holding on till dawn, demanding a boon.
It's incredibly similar, isn't it?
Yeah.
Found continents apart. For Frazer, this just reinforces how these basic story patterns, these archetypes of human struggle against the unknown or the divine, seem to emerge independently across different cultures.
So, quite a journey we've taken from screaming plants.
Yeah, from mandrakes and bryony through Jacob's intense night by the Jabbok, and then all around the world looking at how people dealt with river spirits.
Reverence, fear, offerings, even outright fighting.
It covers the whole spectrum of how humans have tried to relate to the powerful, often unpredictable forces of nature, especially water.
So what's the takeaway for you listening to this?
I think it's about recognizing these deep patterns. How ancient peoples, and maybe us too in some ways, create stories and rituals to explain the unexplainable.
Like why someone might limp or why a river might flood.
Exactly. These narratives give reasons, impose order, and sometimes offer ways to feel like you have some control, or at least understanding, of a world that can feel chaotic and dangerous.
It really makes you think about the power of stories, doesn't it? How they shape customs, beliefs, even identity.
Absolutely. And looking at our own traditions, even familiar biblical ones, through this folkloric lens Frazer provides, it just reveals hidden layers, unexpected connections to a shared human past we often forget is there.
Something to definitely keep exploring. Thanks for that deep dive.
My pleasure. Lots to think about.